Good morning. Good morning. It is Wednesday, the 19th of March, 2025. Time is just flying. It's been a little bit since we've done a power hour with everybody. So glad to be here today with Adam from NAPCO. And he is holding it down out there in Utah. Apparently, they got some good snow last night. We were just catching up. So really excited to have him in NAPCO here. It's actually a first time doing a power hour with you. So very excited to hear about how we're going to be able to increase sales and lower creation costs. So not sure if some of our dealers who are joining us today on this call have ever used NAPCO or they're trying to find more information about NAPCO, but specifically the Prima. And I think it's going to be great for us to really discuss about Prima and learn more about it, but also, possibly for a customer of ours who maybe hasn't ever dabbled with NAPCO, but wanting to learn more about NAPCO. I think, Adam, hopefully you can provide some more context information. So without further ado, Adam, if you'll take it over for us. And then, of course, everyone, just if you have any questions, make sure you hit that question and answer there in the chat. I will be monitoring that and we will take it and I will answer those as we go or at the very end as well.
Great. No, well, thank you, Jackie. Really, thank you, CMS, for inviting us to be part of this Power Hour. Really excited, to be here and to share a little bit of what Prima is, and of course, as all the viewers, all the attendees and the viewers, that are watching this after the fact, I mean, CMS is just such a top-notch partner for all of us in the security industry. And really for that reason alone, I'm really honored to be here to spend some time with you guys.
Yeah, thanks
Um,
again. We're really happy to have you, Adam. And we have so many dealers calling in asking about the Prima. So I think this is a great opportunity for us to have this. And of course, this will be recorded for anyone on the call. So you can always send this out to your technicians or any salespeople going forward, and we'll make sure that we have that on the YouTube channel as well.
and I'll try to not make this so long and boring, especially for people who want to either watch it
Never
again or watch it
boring.
for the first time.
Never boring. They're never boring. So no worries there.
So, well, good. Well, let me maybe give you a brief introduction of myself. I have been in the security industry, in some ways, in fact, many different, aspects, for the last 22 years. One of the more notable timeframes, I was one of the, single digit employees at 2GIG, when they first started. And my role there was, I was in charge of all of our distribution and our sales team. And it was an incredible experience. I mean, it was a time when the industry was really evolving, especially from an equipment perspective and what our security offering was going to be, and who some of those customers were becoming. And it was just an incredible experience, one that I'll always remember, very fondly. But and yeah, I was also able to watch it evolve over the following 7 years that I was there. We were acquired multiple times, and there were new entrants that came into the market and whatnot. And so so anyway, that's a little bit about me. But my goal for this call is really not to force feed you a bunch of product specs or to convince you to drop what your current equipment offering is, or your back end offering is, solely to use Prima, right? Although if that happens, you all consider that a nice bonus. Rather, my goal today is to help you think about your business strategies, maybe in a little different or slightly different way, and show you how Prima can be the perfect fit for you to expand your offering to even more potential customers, due to better creation costs and ongoing back-end fees. So ultimately, if that means that Prima is only a small percentage of your overall installs, I'll also consider that a big win as well. So, but here's my contact info. Please, take a screen grab of that or jot it down. And by all means, you're certainly welcome to reach out to me anytime. Okay, here's a question. Now, I am going to ask a lot of questions, and I do realize that I'm not going to get the instant feedback from you. But if you want to jot it down in the comments or whatnot, um, you know, uh, please feel free. But this is one of my favorite pictures, that I like to show. And my question is, what is happening here? Okay, it might be a little hard to see there, but you can see an access control gate, that's down, blocking people from accessing that road. I don't know what they're trying to prevent them from doing, but ultimately, the purpose of that is so that they can't continue driving. But you can also see that there's tire tread marks going around both sides of the gate. And so the gate entry obviously is easily avoided by driving around it. So my follow-up question is, do you think the owner or the installer of this gate is getting the desired results from this strategy? Yeah, of course not, right? So what this helps illustrate is that each of us in all of our businesses, and frankly, in everything that we do, whether it's in business or in life, we are each perfectly positioned today to get the exact results that we're getting. And so what that means is that if the results that we're getting don't align with what we want, we must reevaluate that strategy, right? So what are some results so thinking about your own business, what are some results that you would like to change within your business? And really, I want to invite each of you to also, think about these strategies, that you have and the results you're getting. And really, I want to challenge you to potentially think, at least during this call, I want to challenge you to, think about, potentially think about that strategy a little bit differently. Maybe, let's, consider having a paradigm shift in how we've been doing it, especially if we're not getting the results that we want. Okay, now if you're getting all the results you could ever dream for, I might not have much to offer you in this call, but I suspect that there's at least something, some results that maybe you're looking for a better answer for that we may be able to, help you solve. Now, this is a book, The Blue Ocean Strategy. It's a book, it's been out for a long time, a couple decades maybe. I've recently reread it, and I just want to touch on a couple things, from this book. But maybe before I kind of get into it, think to yourself, would you say you face a lot of competition with your business? Are there a lot of competitors out there that you're bumping into and you're having to bid against? And, I suspect I think I know the answer to that. It's probably yes. But what the Blue Ocean Strategy book does is it basically categorizes the world's businesses into two oceans, red and blue. And it helps the reader to navigate through the thought process of steering their businesses within either or both oceans. But it also challenges companies to break out of the red ocean of bloody competition by creating uncontested market space that makes the competition irrelevant. So instead of dividing up existing and often shrinking demand or, and benchmarking competition, the Blue Ocean Strategy, it's actually about growing demand and breaking away from the competition. Okay. And I promise this isn't going to be a book report on Blue Ocean, but there's some really good principles that I really liked out of this. And if you haven't read it, I would recommend you reading it. And if you have read it and it's been a while, you might consider rereading it. So let's define what red and blue oceans are a little better. So red oceans represent all industries in existence today, also known as the market space. So in red oceans, industry boundaries are defined and accepted, and the competitive rules of the game are known. Here, companies try to outperform their rivals to grab a greater share of existing demand. As the market space gets crowded, prospects for profits and growth are reduced. Products become commodities, and cutthroat competition turns the ocean bloody. And I know if you're not seeing that with your own business, although I suspect you probably are, you most definitely can see this with other businesses out there, right? Because it's the predominant way that business is done today. So but question is, do you feel at times like your business is fishing in the red ocean? Are you finding that you're being forced to compete based on price and feel it's a race to zero? Obviously, if you do, I mean, these are signs that you're fishing in the red ocean. And in the red ocean, there's a lot of competition going after a few fish. Now, on the other hand, I already kind of summarized this previously, but I'll reiterate it again because I think it's important. Once again, the blue ocean strategy challenges companies to break out of the red ocean of bloody competition by creating uncontested market space that makes the competition irrelevant. So instead of dividing up existing and often shrinking demand and benchmarking competitors, blue ocean strategy is about growing demand and breaking away from the competition. How nice would it be that when you're given bids or on a job, you're not constantly being compared to other companies, right? And then it suddenly just becomes all about price. So with the blue ocean strategy, on the other hand, it has many untouched fish and few to no competitors, which allows for more customers and more potential profitability. I did want to read, and I apologize for not having a slide on this, but really, as I was kind of thinking through the book again, I was thumbing through it, and there's a paragraph that I wanted to kind of touch base, kind of basically read, but there's some different traps, and they number them, red ocean trap 1 through like 10 or something. But red ocean trap 4 is the belief that to create a blue ocean, you must be first to market. And the blue ocean strategy is not about being first to market. Rather, it's about being first to get it right by linking innovation to value. One need only to look at Apple here. The iMac wasn't the first PC. The iPod wasn't the first MP3 player. iTunes wasn't the first digital music store. And the iPhone certainly wasn't the first smartphone, nor, for that matter, was the iPad the first smart tablet. But what they all successfully did was link innovation to value. Organizations that mistakenly assume blue ocean strategy is about being first to market all too often get their priorities wrong. They inadvertently put speed before value. While speed is still important, speed alone will not unlock a blue ocean. Corporate graveyards are full of companies that got to market first with innovative offerings not linked to value. And so to avoid this trap, this is really key. Companies need to continuously drive home the idea that while speed may be important, even more important is linking innovation to value. So no company should rest easy until it achieves value innovation. And so you just kind of keep that in mind as we continue this conversation. Here's a nice little graphic. It visualizes, it helps you visualize kind of what these different oceans are. So in a red ocean, you're competing. You can see there's a bunch of fishermen here and just a few fish. You're competing in an existing marketplace. You beat the competition. You exploit existing demand, and you make the value cost trade off. Whereas in the blue ocean, there's few fishermen, lots of fish. You're creating uncontested market space. You make the competition irrelevant. You're creating and capturing new demand, and you break the value cost trade off. So my question is to you, where is the blue ocean in our industry? You just a second to think about that, or if you want to go ahead and put it in any of the comments. Would I'll propose a few. What about selling to renters or sub or failed credits or MDUs or DIYers, millennials? Well, and certainly there are others, but would these be considered blue ocean? Because certainly you think about it. I mean, these are people that are severely underserved when it comes to a security solution, right? How many times have your salespeople walked away from an interested buyer only to find out that they failed credit or were a renter, right? And they were unable to sell to them, because they didn't have a solution, for them. Another question is, why? So why aren't you currently fishing in the blue ocean and providing a solution to these prospective customers? Certainly they need or want security. Arguably, they might need security more than anybody else, right? But the problem is, due to high creation costs, it really, turning them into customers really is cost prohibitive. When you factor in the high cost of equipment, labor, and other related costs, it really makes it difficult for it to pencil out, in selling to these types of customers, right? And of course, look, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but the risk, that these customers default on a 3 to 5 year monitoring agreement is certainly far too high. You get chargebacks and all the other costs. I mean, you might not even break even on a job for multiple years, right? And so, if they default on that, it really takes a significant hit on your business. So I get it. I totally understand. But this is where, if we're able to figure out a way to fish in that blue ocean with those customers by having the right value proposition for them, if we can innovate, a value proposition for them, there's an opportunity for us to really capture a significant portion of that market and fish in that blue ocean. So really, ultimately, if you had a solution that could reduce these creation costs and lower your monthly back-end costs, how many more customers would you add to your customer base each month? How many times have your salespeople had to walk away from one of these types of customers in the last month? And if the answer is at least one, then Prima by NAPCO is your solution for this. And I'll invite you to have a deeper discussion with me at some point, because I'm not going to get super detailed, but I'm going to get into some of the nuts and bolts, of course. So, additionally, you've noticed all the success of the various DIY companies out there, and I recall when they first started coming out, like Simply Safe, Ring, kind of these types of companies. when they first came out, not too many people were very concerned about them kind of leaching into the professional installers market. But I think over time, we've seen some of the impact that they've had on our industry, and um, and why do you think I guess what are your thoughts about why they're having that success? How are they finding that success? Because you've probably looked at the equipment. The equipment's actually pretty bad. It doesn't have near the bells and whistles, that more mainstream security industry equipment offers. But one of the reasons is there's a whole generation, millennials, aka millennials. They're not only comfortable with installing their own security system, but they also prefer it. Um, in fact, so if you had an offering that could compete with them, would you offer it to them, or do you feel that there's too negative of a stigma behind DIY? All right. Even though there's some large, I would suggest that even though that there are large DIY companies out there, we all know that there's no substitute for having a legitimate security companies that can service and install all customers, including the DIYers, right? Otherwise, why would these DIY companies contract with third-party companies to service and sometimes install those products for those customers, right? So there's also blue ocean in providing a better DIY solution to these buyers. There's an opportunity to capture even some of that market. Now, at NAPCO, we know that we're not the first to market with a panel like this. But fortunately, we've had the luxury of watching the industry evolve and we've learned what the industry really demands. I remember going from hardwired systems to wireless, to a self-contained panel, to a self-contained panel that has automation, and then ultimately the introduction of video, and obviously the introduction of the arguably subpar DIY companies equipment. But we've watched all of this happen, and none of the costs have decreased or even remained the same. In fact, it's been the contrary, right? We've watched all the costs of everything increase. And through all of this, what we've been able to see and really learn is that the best way for us to align ourselves, the best strategy for us is to align ourselves with dealers who and provide them with a high quality product at the lowest possible price, both from a hardware perspective and a back end perspective, while maintaining all the necessary features and benefits that you'd expect to have in a security solution. Okay. So it is kind of funny. As I meet with various dealers, out there, a lot of the people that I've known for many, many years, I often joke with them when they find out that I'm out there, representing a new panel in the market, other than 2 gig. But I often joke with them that Prima is the panel that we always wish 2 gig would be, and I sincerely mean that. It has, from a great form factor that's simple and intuitive and very easy to use and install, but it has also all the bells and whistles customers demand at the best price in the industry. It literally cannot be beat. It's so far removed from the competition that again, we feel like we're fishing in the blue ocean as well. And now I understand, especially if you've never seen the product, you're just got to take my word for it, because if there's any product, any panel out there that is meant to be a demo product, it's this. It really is the Prima product. And again, you'll just have to trust me on it, but I'm also very confident in making that very bold statement. And I guess, having said that, since ISC West is coming upon us literally in, I guess that's 2 weeks from today, it begins 2 weeks from today, or yesterday, technically. If any of you are going to be attending ISC West, I'd invite each of you to please schedule a time with me, and I would love to walk you through a demo of the product at ISC. Obviously, if you're not going to be attending ISC, or if ISC's already passed by the time you're watching this, still reach out to me, and we'll figure out another way to demo the product with you. Okay. So going back to the blue ocean opportunities with renters and sub credit or failed credit prospects, if you could collect your creation costs up front, removing that risk from you, it still may make sense for you to sell to them and provide a solution to this severely underserved market. That really, like I said, needs and wants security just as much, if not more, than your other normal customers. Normal, whatever that normal it means. And if you think about this just from a financial perspective, because if they break the agreement, if you've collected your creation costs up front, if they break the agreement, it really has little to no effect on you financially, right? And even with renters, the way that the Prima panel is set up, it can be wired through a wall, or it also comes with a desk mount they can put on their counter or desk somewhere. Especially if they have a landlord that doesn't want them to drill any holes or anything like that. They can just take it with them whenever they move, and without needing to cancel their agreement with you. So they can remain that customer with you even after they move. Okay, this is kind of what I've been alluding to, but right here on this slide, we're seeing that there's a 3-1 kit. Our 3-1 kit it's priced so well. You have the large 7-inch touchscreen display, the Z-Wave automation, all the things in there, video on the panel. Priced under $280 for the kit, and for the back end, you start at $699. And when I say start at $699, we've made it really simple. There's two prices for the back end. It's $699 or $875 with video. So $699 without video, $875 with video. And we even have a kit that includes a doorbell camera, because you all know how popular the doorbell cameras are now. So a 3-1 kit with a doorbell camera for under $400. I think it's under $399. Okay. So you can see it's far better than other back ends from a monthly perspective. That often, and frankly, a lot of times, they have really complicated pricing schedules that can add up to $15 or more per month, depending on what you've added in there, which frankly gobbles up a huge percentage of your monthly recurring revenue. So by having such a low cost of equipment and a low monthly back end fee, this really helps you capture and go after some of these blue ocean customers. It's not a stretch to think that you could go to a subcredit customer that wants a system, but just they didn't pass, to ask them for a down payment of $280, or maybe a little more than that, depending on how you're going to have it installed, right? It is kind of interesting how I think I'll get into some of the different ways that some of our dealers are having it installed, but some of them, I may as well get into it now. We have some dealers that are having their salespeople Oh, let's see. They have their salespeople install the system. It's that easy. Which obviously allows for a quicker transaction in terms of being able to provide value immediately, without waiting for even later that day for a same day or several days later if you had to schedule the install out, depending on how busy your technicians are. Um, uh, we have some of the dealers are hiring very entry level installers to to only install the Prima systems, right? Because it's so easy. It's a way for these very entry level installers to get some experience, while they're learning the more complicated jobs, and allowing your more experienced installers to focus on the more complicated service calls or the installs. Okay. Um, and obviously we have some that are shipping the system out to the customer and allowing the customer to install it themselves. Now, obviously, I'll get into a little bit of this, but Prima does have a full line of accessories, including translators, takeover modules, and actually coming very, very soon, an additional full-size keypad for partitioning. You'll probably see that here. I mean, it's imminently happening. I've already seen well, they're in the final stages of testing for that, or maybe have already completed it, but there'll be some announcements in the next couple weeks on that. And with built-in repeaters, in addition to the 128 zone Z-Wave capabilities, video on the panel, blah blah blah. But as I promised at the beginning of the call, I don't want to get into rehashing all the expected features and specs that basically all the panels available have today. Obviously, we have those as well. However, I do want to mention at least a couple of them that are unique and probably very interesting to you as a dealer. Prima is literally the fastest and simplest panel to install in the industry. I got a little ahead of myself on the previous slide, but one of my favorite ways to demo the system is to have a rookie, somebody that's never even touched a security system before, is to put them in front of the panel and not say a word, and I'll just look over their shoulder but I watch them navigate through the very simple and very intuitive prompts to program a system in 5 minutes, and I'm not exaggerating that either. It's it's just such a fun thing to see how easy it is for somebody so new to install. There's even video tutorials on the panel that will show how to install the specific sensor that they're programming. Okay. So obviously, anybody that has a little bit of experience, or once they've installed one of them, you can pretty much consider them a pro at installing a Prima panel. So once again, this will help whether you're doing the DIY obvious, type of, install for obvious reasons. So when you're considering the blue ocean, again, I know some people might kind of frown on this, or because, oh, well, all my technicians are super experienced and they can handle anything that's ever thrown at them. Well, of course, and that's great. But let's consider what the blue ocean has in store for us, and what kind of fish can we capture by expanding our strategy just a little bit. Okay. Now, obviously, talked about the salespeople being able to do some installs, or once again using the Prima installs as kind of your training ground. And really what that for brand new installers, and really what it does is it helps you turn your new installers into basically kind of revenue generators, right, as well, rather than just having them, you know, you running little errands for your more seasoned and experienced installers, right? They can actually get some real hands-on experience, and in a very simple way where you can have a lot of confidence in their ability to do the job successfully and do it very well. Okay. We also have, video, and I'm not going to get into all the details here, but we have outdoor, indoor cameras. We have an outdoor solar panel, that can power your outdoor camera as well. We have a wireless and a hardwired doorbell cam, um, and but but that's not unique, specifically. What is unique? Well, actually, there's kind of maybe two things. The least cool thing, but I think it's pretty cool, is on our wireless doorbell camera. Obviously, it has to get charged every now and then, so the customer can just pull that off, charge it inside USB cable. It'll take 2 or 3 hours, and then go stick it back up there. But in the meantime, if they were to get a visitor during that charging period, there's still on the back plate, there's a button, there's still a doorbell button that'll ring into the house. So you're not without a doorbell and not knowing, if somebody's coming to your door, or heaven forbid, somebody would have to knock. This cool little feature that we were able to think about. But the really unique thing, and this is huge, think about what your number one reason for service calls is. And I suspect that it's probably you're rolling a truck because somebody's cameras went offline. And usually that's because a password changed, or they got a new router, something really simple along those lines, right? Well, normally when that happens, you have to roll the truck, and you go and you get all the cameras back online individually. But with our cameras, with all of our camera lines, our doorbell cameras, our indoor outdoor cameras, they have built-in self-healing. So obviously, this is going to further reduce the cost of owning these accounts and servicing the account. And the way that works, not just kind of high level, the way it works is, if the customer gets a new router, or there's a change in password, then the panel, because it's a dual path connectivity, so it's by Wi-Fi and cellular. But if it goes offline, from the Wi-Fi perspective, the panel will show up. A prompt will be on the screen to remind them to change the password on the panel. Okay. Once they do that, the panel automatically self-heals with all the cameras that are connected to it. Okay, that are connected with the system. So once again, just another thing that we were able to innovate to provide, the value needed that the industry was frankly demanding. There's a problem that hadn't been solved quite yet. Of course, we have an easy to use app for your customers, along with a dealer portal, for you to manage your accounts. Won't necessarily get into that on this call, but it does all the things you would expect, to see and have. But it's very intuitive for your customers as well. Very simple, easy to use. Oops. And so really, to summarize, if you want to fish in the blue ocean, Prima is the product, and NAPCO is the partner for you to help lower your creation costs and expand your marketability. Together, we're perfectly positioned to help you get the results that you want, and while you're fishing in that blue ocean. Now, I guess, Jackie, are there any questions that were
No,
popping?
I don't see any like specific questions, but I had some questions just in general for someone who might not be like overly familiar with NAPCO. I know obviously um you are out of Utah, but say I'm
Mhm.
on this call and I am in Florida. Where do I go to find maybe my local rep, or what's my best avenue to, maybe try NAPCO or if I want to try Prima, what would be my best route, right? Like, so you would not be my local rep per se, but if, because
Yep.
we're going to have
Yep.
people looking at this who are nationwide. So what would be the best
Absolutely.
way of going about that?
No, absolutely. No, great question. Yeah, you can go to napcosecurity.com. Um, chances are a lot of the dealers they may already know a NAPCO rep in their area, but if they don't, napcosecurity.com, or you can contact me and I can get you in touch with that person, make a personal, introduction.
Great.
Um, but yeah, so that's what I would recommend.
Okay, amazing. I have a question coming in. It says powered by Starlink slideshow, sell Wi-Fi. So is Starlink an option?
Yes, good question. So, okay, now we get this a lot. Now, Starlink has been around. This isn't the same as the Elon Musk Starlink that people hear about lately. Power the NAPCO Starlink has been around for many,
Or
many,
the
many years.
OG Starlink.
It's the OG Starlink.
Noah first, yeah.
It's the premier cellular communication that for especially for commercial fire systems, that's being used out there in the market. It's the leader in that space. Um, but it's the same. So we utilize that with with the Prima panel as well.
So, like, not to be confused, but there's another Compass software that used to be in use, and then we have something. Our software is called Compass, our platform. So,
Okay,
so obviously, it's just a similar namesake. It's not
that's
this
right.
platform.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Very, very good question. Thank you for clarifying that. And then where's the best place for me, or if I just want to go, what is the easiest barrier to entry for me to try NAPCO or
Absolutely.
Prima in particular?
Virtually every distributor every security distributor out there has it. Um, I don't want to get in trouble by
No,
mentioning
you don't
one or
want
two now
to.
and leaving
Yeah, yeah,
out
no,
all
no,
the
let's not do.
the hundreds.
All of our kids are our favorite children. Right.
Yeah, yeah. No, but virtually every security distributor has it. And if they don't, I mean, I think they do. To be
Okay.
honest. So
Awesome. Um, And any additional questions, they can just contact you there at your email or cell, and then you can just route them to the proper channels um, as well. So, any other questions, you can also contact me. Again, I'm Jackie here at CMS, and my email is joneal@cmsn.com. Don't forget that N. We just like to make things a little bit more tricky. So, anyway, thanks again, Adam. It has been great having you today. And Olivia, of course, thanks so much for coordinating everything. And we will see you in a couple weeks at ISC. I can't believe yet again another ISC. So, all
yeah, it's right here. Thank you. Thanks so much,
right.
everybody.
All right.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Jackie.
Bye.